And I think it's time to get started. Hey, welcome to At the Track Live. My name is Coach James. I am the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics. What is All About Aerodynamics? I tell you every week. All About Aerodynamics is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about physics, about aerodynamics, about energy, about Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, about kinetic energy, potential energy, about downforce, about draft, about a whole range of topics. After I've taught them about those topics, then I bring in hundreds of Hot Wheels cars, and each student picks a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything that they've learned in the class. And then they set up a 20-foot drag strip, and we have a tournament, and we race the Hot Wheels cars and find out which car is the fastest. During the course of those races, the students are able to assess their car's performance and determine whether or not they would select that car again if they had the opportunity. They can determine why they believe that their car did or did not perform up to, or maybe it performed below their expectations. And we introduce them to the scientific method and collect data and have a lot of fun and learn things in the process. But before I can bring all of those cars into the school, into the classroom, I have to make sure that I have a good accounting of all the cars that I'm bringing to the school that are in the fleet. So I have to take each car, I have to take a picture of it, I have to shoot a short video, and I have to number the car, I have to enter it into a spreadsheet, the information, and then I have to post it to the website, because there is an online version of All About Aerodynamics. And for those kids who aren't going to be able to physically select their cars and choose their cars, I need to have video and pictures so that they can get a good look at the car, the shape, the styling, and make their selection that way. In the past, what I would have to do is just take the cars, because I have hundreds of cars in storage bins, because like most Hot Wheels collectors, every time I go to a store, I stop and look and see if there are any new or interesting Hot Wheels cars out that either I like or that I think that the students would like, and I pick those up and I put them in a storage bin. And the idea is that eventually I'll take them out of the storage bin and I will do everything I just said, the pictures, the videos, the spreadsheets, and then they'll be available for the students to pick when we have an All About Aerodynamics class session. And I would do that pretty much on my own, just when I had time, and it was a little boring. So I thought there must be a better way to get these cars sort of integrated into the system. And that's when I came up with the idea for At the Track Live. Now, At the Track Live is an interactive program where I'm going to go to the storage bin. I'm going to crack open the cars, usually about 6 cars per episode. And we're going to take a look at those. I'll review those. You'll get to see them. I'll take the picture and the video. I'll enter them into the spreadsheet. And then we'll take them to the track. The track is set up. The track is lit. Cameras. It's all ready to go. Track is out there, just sitting there, waiting for cars to race. So I'll take the cars that I crack open, take them out to the track, and we'll have a little mini tournament. But here's where you come in. You will have the opportunity to select a car. All you have to do is go to atthetrack.live. You go down to the option that says choose a car. You select that option, and it will take you to this web page. And on this web page, you will see all of the cars in the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live fleet listed. Every single one that we have in our system. When you find a car that you think will be faster than one of the cars that I cracked open, all you have to do is choose the number of the car. So all of these cars are numbered, and this is the sort of benefit and byproduct of all the work that goes into cataloging these cars, is that now we can do this. So if you think that this Dodge Viper GTS-R, the copper one, because there must be another one of a different color, but if you think that this Dodge Viper GTS-R copper is faster than, or will be faster than, the car that I've just cracked open, and you want to see it race, all you have to do is take this number, so in this case 120, and drop that in the chat. I'll go and pull that car, and then we will see which car is in fact faster. And you can actually click on the cars if you want a better view, close up, and that is all you have to do. And we have all kinds of cars. There are actual cars that you may see on the street, depending on what street you live in. You might see a Lamborghini Gallardo LP 574 Superleggera. You might. And then there are fantasy casting cars. There's the Piranha Terror. Here's a Porsche Panamera Turbo SE Hybrid Sport Turismo. You might see that on the street, but you probably won't see the Power Surge or the I Believe car. This is an extremely popular pick amongst the students. I think it just catches their eye, and it hasn't performed particularly well that I remember, but it's typically one that does get a lot of selections from the students. So again, all you have to do, scroll through, find the car that you think will be faster than the car that I've cracked open, take the number, drop it in the chat. I will find that car, and then we will have a race. This one is very unique. I don't think it's fast, and I don't think it has much of a chance of staying on the track, but hey, you never know. Well, you kind of know this isn't going to do well. But hey, that's not for me to decide. That's for you to decide. So you can, again, go to atthetrack.live, select choose a car. It will take you to this page, and that will allow you to select a car that will be raced on our track. Speaking of racing on our track, a few days ago, I had a little mishap with the track. And long story short, about half gallon of ice cream fell and got spilled on the track. There was a big cleanup that had to take place, and that all got taken care of, but it made me, I had to go through, I always check the track before any races, before At the Track Live broadcasts, always check the track out. But this time there was a lot more, since I ended up having to go back and clean it and readjust things and remove some of the lights and replace the lights and do a whole bunch of things. The track is in great condition with the launcher. I've switched out the rubber band, and so fresh rubber band means much higher speeds. It means more force. It means more spectacular crashes, and it should make for some pretty good races. And when we have this tournament today, the little mini tournament with the cars that we introduce, there will also be an opportunity for the car that wins the little mini tournament to take on our fastest in fleet. What is the fastest in fleet? The fastest in fleet is the title that we've given to the car that is the fastest overall. So started about maybe 4 episodes ago, and a lot of the YouTube channels that have gravity racing tracks will have a gatekeeper car, and the gatekeeper car is that fastest car. So once they've had their tournaments or their series of races, they take whatever car wins and put it up against the gatekeeper to see if there can be a new champion, essentially. Well, we don't call it a gatekeeper at All About Aerodynamics and At the Track Live. We call it the fastest in the fleet. And our current fastest car in the fleet is this one, the Monoposto. And this car, let me get a little more light on it. It's a champion. It deserves some shine. This car dethroned the previous fastest in fleet car last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, recently. And in fact, this car went up against it was the last episode, because this car took on the Minecraft minecart, which if you haven't seen that episode, you should go back and watch it, because let me take my name down. That Minecraft minecart, which is crazy, because pull it out. It is the most un-aerodynamic car that has ever been produced and that has ever been on our track. It's just a box. It's a box on wheels. And the wheels are pretty close together, and the inside is hollow because I think you can put a figure inside. But I didn't think that this cart had any chance at all whatsoever of even making it down the track, let alone having a competitive race. But it's why we race the cars, because you never know. And the fact is, this Minecraft the Minecraft minecart is one of the fastest Hot Wheels cars that we've ever had on the track. And it just so happened that it was not faster than the Monoposto, which is the orange car. And during the race, what you can see is that the aerodynamics of that Minecraft cart don't help it in the end, because it would get off to pretty fast starts, but as it got toward the end of the track, it would start to slow down. And with most of the cars that it raced, the lead that it built up at the beginning was so big that it really didn't matter all that much that it slowed down at the end, because it had already built up a huge lead over the other cars that it was facing. But when it came time to face the Monoposto got off to an equally good start. The Minecraft cart was ahead, but the Monoposto, because of its aerodynamics, the air wasn't slowing it down as noticeably as it was the minecart. So the Monoposto didn't lose as much speed and powered through, beat the minecart at the end. Whereas the minecart's, that big flat surface, the air is building up against it, and eventually it's going to work against it, and it did. But the surprising part was that it made it down the track each and every time, no crashes that I recall, and it was a real surprise. So I think that students are going to pick this Minecraft cart because it's Minecraft and they like that. And when they pick it, I'll know that they picked it because they like Minecraft and not because of the aerodynamics. And so they'll ultimately, there will be a lesson to be learned that, a car with bad aerodynamics isn't the car that you should pick if you want to actually try and win the race. But this car performs so well that almost gets thrown out the window because it is going to beat a majority of the cars that it faces. But when a student picks the right car with good aerodynamics and good weight, then the Minecraft cart won't be in the running. But this isn't about the Minecraft cart so much as it is about our fastest in fleet car champ right here, the Monoposto. So we will be racing. I'll pull out again. I'm going to pull out 6 cars and see what we can do. What kind of races we have now. Over the Thanksgiving holiday, I went to go visit some relatives, and I went to go visit them by way of plane. And because I took a plane, that means I was in the airport. And at LAX in Terminal 5, they have an FAO Schwarz toy store. And in that toy store, they have a wall of Hot Wheels. And I always take a look. Now, the problem, so there's the good and the bad. The good part is that they have a lot of Hot Wheels cars that I haven't seen in just the regular stores, in the Targets or the Walmarts, what have you. Or if I do see them, I'm not seeing them until much later. I'm trying to get my shirt straight. Can't this collar right. But I haven't seen those cars until much later, sometimes months later. The bad part is that the cars are priced at $4.99, so $5 for a Hot Wheels car, which is 5 times more than you'd find them in Target or Walmart or your grocery store. So I really only pick car. The car has to be pretty unique, or I have to think it's pretty cool in order to pick it up. And so I picked up a few, and I'll show these to you. Some of the ones that I picked up. These aren't going to be the ones that race today, but let's take a look. So here's one I picked up called Shark Bite, which where would it be best to get the Monoposto out of the way, stop the turntable, and figure out, let's see if I put this here, and then let's focus the camera in a bit. So we've got this one, the Shark Bite, and I think there's some kind of mechanism where the shark's jaw is going to move as the car goes down the track. It's pretty tall. It's got a weird profile. I think that open mouth of the shark is going to serve to slow it down. And it's just a strange, odd character car, fantasy car. But sharks, dinosaurs, very popular, and some of the students might like to choose this. So it might be a car that I don't think it will be fast, but, and I don't even, it just seems, it seems like it's not, I guess, top heavy. And almost in looking at it, it looks like it should be falling over forward, but apparently they've balanced the wheels out just right, and it's not going to fall over. But while I don't think it will do well, I will be curious to see how it does in general. So that was one that I picked up at the airport. Another one was this one that I'll probably see this in the stores, but I hadn't seen it before, which is this Land Rover Series 2. So we got this one. And it's just like a military style Jeep, which that's cool. What I'm interested in is two things: is that it has the Track Stars designation under the logo, and you can see it right there, Track Stars. And at least in theory, Hot Wheels suggests that cars with the Track Stars designation are better on the track. But I'm looking at these tires, and it's got these kind of off-road tires with the knobs, and it's not a very aerodynamically the aerodynamics on this truck aren't good, and why would they be? And it's got a for whatever reason, there's a surfboard, a Land Rover surfboard on the back of the car, or on the top in the, I don't know. It's got this tire in the front, it's got this folded down windshield, and again, I'm just a little curious to see how it will perform. I don't understand what the Track Stars designation is for, because I can't imagine this being very fast either. But hey, I didn't think the Minecraft cart was going to be all that fast. Then I picked up this one, the McLaren Solus GT, which I just like the look of this one, and so that's one that it has all the styling and everything to suggest that it's going to be fast on the track. In particular, that wing at the back, and as I mentioned before, cars that have a flat back area tend to get better launches, because the launching block is a block and it's got a flat surface. So cars with a flat back end can press up very well against that launching block and get a good push out of the starting gates. And let's see. The next one I picked up was this one. It's the Mad Mike Drift Attack car. We got this one. And another one that is likely to do pretty well on the track. And then finally, I think that was the last of the airport pickups. I think I just got those 4. So I will add those to the fleet, and but I'll eventually add them to the fleet, because we have other cars to add today. So let's go ahead and get to that. I think I still have a few cars left from a Hot Wheels swap meet collector's event that I went to probably a month ago at this point. And a lot of the people who are there are selling they're selling collector's editions, they're selling special editions, they're selling treasure hunt cars, they're selling super treasure hunt cars, which are more rare and special versions of the Hot Wheels cars. The cars that I have added to the All About Aerodynamics fleet are all mainline cars, well, predominantly mainline cars. And all that means is mainline cars are the cars that you find in your grocery store, in Target and Walmart, the ones that are the more dominant groups of cars that you'll find. So you can go into store and, so for example, this Plymouth GTX, you'll see this in your local grocery store or Target or Walmart or what have you, Dollar Tree. And the only difference is that with the mainline cars is you'll see them and there might be a red version of this, or there might be a green version of this, a purple version, but same car. Now there are other cars that are, and I don't have any examples here because I don't really collect too many of those, but they are premium cars. Yeah, I don't really have any example. Do I have some? How about this Lincoln? So here's a good example. This Lincoln Continental. This is from the Matrix films, and it is a premium Hot Wheels car, so it costs more money. There are usually more details than with the standard mainline cars, and the wheels are rubber, which is one of the reasons, it's the main reason why I'm not interested in the treasure hunt cars or the premium cars so much, except this one. I really just like the car, so I bought it. I didn't have any plans to put it on the track, but the problem is that the rubber tires, that's not going to get you down the track on our track, because there's just too much friction in the tires. They don't roll all that well. So the premium cars are more collector's pieces, and I want cars that can actually race. So when I go to these Hot Wheels swap meets and collectors events, there are people selling mainline cars, and you can usually get pretty good deals on them. I also look for cars from the 90s and early 2000s, before my son was born, because after he was born, we would race Hot Wheels cars, and then once I started All About Aerodynamics, then I would buy cars. So from kind of the early 2000s through now, I have plenty of Hot Wheels cars, but there's a gap between when I was a kid in the 80s and the 2000s. So there's about a 15-year gap where more than that, probably 15, 20-year gap, where I wasn't really interested in Hot Wheels and wasn't collecting. So when I go to these events and I see people selling cars from the 90s, then I tend to pick those up. And that Monoposto car, this is from 2000. So a lot of those mid to late 90s, early 2000s cars, I'll pick up if I see them. So I'm going to reach into this bag. I think there's only a few left. And some of the cars I picked up were loose. So I'm not interested in the packaging anyway. So as long as the wheels aren't damaged, and it's a loose car that I think the students would enjoy, I'll pick it up. So I think at least one of the cars today is going to be a loose car. But let's see what I can get here. Oh, it feels like they're all loose, and there is just one. Okay, so we have let's get this off of here. First car, and this is not late 90s. I guess I just picked this up. This is an 82 Nissan Skyline R30. And let's see. The 82 Nissan Skyline, famous on tracks, TV, and a huge cultural icon in Japan. The R30 is a rare gem in the car world, groundbreaking for its time. The engine design laid the foundation for many future epic cars, making it a legend around the globe. That is the information that's on this. So let's crack this open and take a closer look. Okay, let's see. Nissan R30 Skyline. Okay, so let me first get the, let's see, get that turned up. Alright, just realigned. And might as well take the still photo first, which is the picture that's going to end up on the website. I usually like to get a 3/4 view, sort of right about in there. Lock the focus. Get a little more light color. That looks pretty good. Alright, got the picture. Now, just need to get the video. And let's see, what is missing here is, let's see, I had, get these lights on. There we go. Yeah, a little bit of some lights. Let's get those lights on. A little bit of showmanship. Never hurt anything. But the car is now going the wrong direction. Try to get it to go. All right, this way. Just like the cars all going in the same counterclockwise direction. And get this video of this car. Alright, so while doing that, enter the information into the spreadsheet here. So we're up to car, this is going to be car number 544. This is the 82 Nissan Skyline R30. And yeah, it's a good looking car. Nice details. I think it said new for 2018, so I presume that unless this is just a issue, I presume that it will be that will be the date on the bottom of the car, which I always have to keep the year in the database just because it's just one more data point to use to be able to determine if I have to locate the car, if they get separated out, if the students need more information. It just helps me to have all of that information to then look it up. So the 82 Nissan Skyline R30 is the first car that is going to be entered today into today's tournament and competition. Let me check the year. The year on the bottom is 2017. So, got that. And again, remember, if you want to pick a car to race against the Nissan Skyline, all you have to do is go to atthetrack.live, select choose a car. That will take you to our page that has all of the cars listed. Find the car, select the number, and there you go. Drop it in the chat, and we will pull that car and race it. All right, Next car up is going to be, it's loose, it is going to be this one, the Mazda 787B. And let me get this up here. We can take a look at the Mazda 787B. And here it is. So since I've got it already on the turntable locked in, the focus, and here we go. So the Mazda 787B. And this is car number 545. Now, I like everything about this car except the fact that it's got those two different wheels. That wheel in the front, that white sort of donut wheel, I don't like that at all. And I don't know why they chose to do that. I don't know if the actual race car version of it has some weird thing happening with the wheels. I don't understand that choice at all. I would have preferred the gold 5-spoke wheels to also be in the front, but you know, personal choices and preferences. Someone else may prefer something completely different, but I just that said, I'm looking forward to seeing how this car will do. Because it's a loose car, I usually try to check the wheels, because most of the times a loose car means someone has been playing with it or doing something, or in some cases it may have just been taken out so that they could, whoever bought it could take pictures of it. Either way, so let me get it. The year on here is 2022, which surprises me that I don't already have one of these in the storage, but I very well may have one of these, and it may be buried so deep in the storage that I can't find it, or haven't gotten to it yet, because really I've been going, when I go to these Hot Wheels swap meets. I went to one a couple of months ago and bought about 30 of those 90s era Hot Wheels cars. So I was so eager to get those integrated into the system and into the fleet that I didn't even go to my storage bin. I just started with those cars and started bringing those in. And so that took took about 4 episodes. Probably spent a month just going through those cars, because again, I'm only bringing in about 6 cars per episode. And then if we have people who select a car to race one of these cars, then that takes up more time, so there are fewer cars that get introduced. So again, if you want to race a car, if you want to pick a car to race against either the Nissan Skyline or this Mazda 787B, then all you have to do is go to our website right here. You go to atthetrack.live, go down to choose a car. It will take you to this page. You can scroll through, and you will have the option to choose from one of 543 different Hot Wheels cars. And once you make your selection, if you go all the way down, you can pick, if you choose, there it is. You can pick the Minecraft Minecart. You can pick, well, you can't pick the Monoposto because that is our current champion. This one, the 24 Hours, it crashed when it was, I think it was going up against the Monoposto, and it crashed twice. And our rules for our races is that if a car crashes twice, it is out. It is eliminated. I went back and checked this 24 Hours on the track to make sure there wasn't something wrong with the car or anything, and it it made its way down the track with no issues. So that could be a very competitive car, provided it can stay on the track, which is an open question at this point. But again, if you want to select a car, go to atthetrack.live, select choose a car, find the car, put the number of the car into the chat, and then I'll see if I can pull the car and we'll have a race. So, all right, we are 2 cars in. There are some loose cars in the bag, so let me pull one of those out. Seems like there's quite a few. Okay, so this is gonna be a little interesting. This is a funny car, and the thing about these is that I've seen on gravity tracks, these do very well, and but again, that's gravity tracks. We don't use a gravity track. If you have not seen the type of track that we use, you will be in for a treat, because the track that we use, it is a drag track, a drag strip, but it is flat. And we create quite a lot of force when the cars are sent down the track. And what ultimately happens is we get more speed, we get more force, we get much more spectacular crashes than you get with a drag track. And the main reason, all those things are true, but the main reason why I chose a flat track is because, again, you can get more force, and I designed a custom launcher to do that, to create more force and generate more force when the cars are shot out of the gate than you get with the typical Mattel Hot Wheels launcher. The faster the cars move, the more the various aerodynamic factors, so the bigger impact drag has on a car, the faster it's moving. And we saw that with the Minecraft minecart, that it was moving really fast, but then eventually the air began to affect it. And because of that shape and the lack of aerodynamic, it wasn't able to push through the air with as much efficiency as some of the other cars. But these funny cars, so I picked one up because for people who have gravity tracks, apparently these funny cars do pretty well. And there's no information here on the bottom. So this is one that I am going to have to, so I didn't have the package, and I also, because it was loose, I'm just trying to make sure that there's nothing, I always try to make sure that there's nothing physically wrong with the car, make sure that the wheels spin freely, and they do, but there's no information on this one other than the year, which is 2003. So I will at least put that in. So this is car number 546. And it is Hot Wheels funny car. Set that up because I've got to get the picture. Zoom in. And I'm calling it the Hot Wheels funny car, but because right now that's about the extent of the information that I have available. Now, one thing I am noticing is that the body is sort of tilted to one side or the other, but the frame is not, it's not touching the wheels, so it's not scraping against the wheels, so it's not impeding anything there, so the car shouldn't have a problem for that reason. Let me turn it just a little bit, like that. picture. Boom. Okay. You can kind of see right here that there's, maybe if I turn it a little, like you can see that the car, it's kind of leaning, it's leaning to this side a little bit, but there is still plenty of clearance, so it's not, the body of the car is not touching the wheel. That's what I was kind of looking for when I was checking it, to see if there was some kind of damage to the hinge so that the body was scraping against the tire, because that would create friction and slow the car down. But that is not the case. So we will just put this down. I'll put it temporarily as Hot Wheels Funny Car. And we will see how this funny car does. Now, I've also noticed this wheelie bar in the back. We'll see whether or not this wheelie bar right there, if it sticks out further than the back end of the car, that could be a problem, because then the launching block will only have this point of contact to push the car out, and it's more likely that it will veer off course and crash. If this wheelie bar is flush with the back of the car, then that's good, because it just provides an additional point of contact for the car, and that might give it a better push. So we'll see how that all plays out. So we now have the Nissan Skyline, the Mazda 787B, and we have this funny car, Hot Wheels Funny Car with it's also pretty narrow, and narrow cars don't tend to do very well on the track, because they have a tendency to bounce to one side or the other, whereas the wider cars don't have as much room to end up bouncing from one side to the other. But we'll get more into that, and you'll be able to see that once we actually start the races. But we've got 3 cars up. We need 3 more. So I'm going to go back into the bag, pull out another of the loose cars that I picked up at the swap meet. And we're not going to go with this one. This is definitely going to be a prize car, and I just have cars that I give away to the students for doing a good job, being helpful, answering questions, getting high scores on quizzes, things like that. And so this Lamborghini, I'm almost certain I have one of these. This is a cyan. So I would have to check the spreadsheet, but, well, I guess I've got the spreadsheet here. I can just check it. Let me see. Let me sort this list by alphabetical order, A to Z. And then let me go up to Lamborghinis. There are so many of these. They're popular. I've got a Lamborghini Aventador J, an Aventador LP700, a Lamborghini Countach, a Lamborghini Gallardo, a Lamborghini Huracan 610-2 Super Trofeo, a Lamborghini Huracan 610-4, a Murcielago, a Sesto, a Veneno. So, you know what? There is no Lamborghini Cyan. So, there is now. There is going to be a Lamborghini Cyan. So, let's go ahead and put this over here, so we can go ahead and get the picture of this car. And let's see. Classic sort of Lamborghini styling. They're always popular, very aerodynamic supercar. Nothing out of the ordinary here. This car does, just in picking it up, it seems a little light, but you know, that's all. I'd have to actually weigh it to see. And all right, there we go. Lamborghini. Lock the focus in. Shoot the picture. Cool. Now, just need to get this video. And first, let me check and see the year on this car. 2021. Alright, and let's go here. Lock the focus in. So this car is clearly, like, aerodynamically, it's on point. But the question will be whether or not the weight is going to be positive or a negative. Let me get this list resorted so I can now go back and add in car number 547, the Lamborghini Cyan. And I think I said 2021. So this car is, yeah, I mean, everything about it screams aerodynamic. This is aerodynamically sound. And we'll just have to see with that weight, because sometimes the lighter cars, because there's so much force generated when the cars launch, a lighter car, while you think that lighter would be better, a lighter car, sometimes all that force causes it to fly up into the air, go left or right, and crash. So lighter is not always better. And of the cars that are going to be racing today, this just in my hand, offhand, sort of felt the lightest. But we will see. We will see, because all about aerodynamics, we don't just guess. We take these track cars to the track and race them. And that is really the only way to know which car is faster. So we now have the 82 Nissan Skyline, the Mazda 787B, the Hot Wheels Funny Car, and the Lamborghini Cyan. So we have 4 cars so far. We're going to introduce 2 more cars into the fleet, and then we will head to the track and race those. Again, you still have time to go to atthetrack.live and select a car, choose your car, and then go down through the list of all the cars that we have, all 543. Pick the car you want to race, take it to the track and race it. Okay, 2 more cars. We need 2 more. So let's see. Going in here, I'm not looking. I feel a bunch of cars. I'm just going completely by feel. And let's see. This feels like I feel like I've grabbed a small car, which I clearly have. This is the 73 Honda Civic Custom. Oh, and it's green, so you're getting the green screen effect. So let's go over here and take a bit of a closer look at this particular car. Just a little hatchback. Now I can already tell. So what do I like? Right off the bat, what do I not like? I mean, the color is not, I suppose that will grow on me, the neon green. I like the details on the front with the headlights, and that's okay. What I'm not a fan of are these tiny tires, and without me having another car up on the podium at this time, it's a little difficult to realize that these are smaller tires, or smaller wheels and tires, but they are. and I guess it ultimately doesn't matter that there are smaller tires. The real question is whether or not this car is going to be able to uh, withstand all of the force that's put against it in the starting block. And it's the same question I have with the Lamborghini. I think the Lamborghini, if it can stay on the track, it will do just fine. But this Honda, I don't know. It just seems like a car that is going to be a crash candidate. And you definitely don't want to be that. So let's go ahead and get the still picture here. And I probably would have liked this car better in a different color scheme and combination, but hey, this is what was available. And being that it's a loose car, it was probably a situation where, you know, there was some deal. Like I probably got this super cheap and figured, hey, why not? So, hey, why not? Here we are, and let's turn this just a bit. And then lock in the focus. Got that locked in. Got our picture. So now we have the, what was it? 73 Honda Civic Custom. 73. It is the 73 Honda Civic Custom. Perfect. Okay, and the year on this one is 2022. I'm almost certain that I have one of those in storage and in the packs, but I don't really like to have duplicate cars. I know there are some duplicates in there. I think the Dodge Viper that I came across at the beginning when I was going through the page that had all the cars listed, it said something like Dodge Viper Copper, which means there's one that's a different color in there. So I decided a while back that the cars that are duplicates that are in the fleet can stay, but in the future, I don't want to have duplicate cars in there. So I probably have a version of this Honda, this green Honda, that is in a more appealing color scheme. Probably that's the one that I actually purchased in the store, but especially because it came out in 2022. So I know for a fact that last year I was definitely had my eye on which cars were out, which cars were new, which cars I didn't have, and I'm sure there's one in storage of that in a better looking color scheme. But this one happened to make it first, so that other one will end up as a prize car. All right, final car. So we have the Nissan Skyline, we have the Mazda 787B, we have the Hot Wheels Funny Car, we have the Lamborghini Cyan, and we have this custom Honda Civic, this 1973 Honda Civic. And the last car that is going to be entered into the fleet for today is this one. It is the 2015 Mazda MX-5 Miata. And this is going to be the next car. So let's crack it open and then we can take a look. Okay. No special information on the back of this card, so let's take a look. This is a nice car. So first of all, the red is on the bottom, black body with a matte paint scheme, matte matte black. I like those gold wheels, and it's a nice color scheme. I know exactly this is what caught my eye and why I picked this car up. So let's get it turned and get a good picture of it here. The pictures are very important for people who want to select a car to race, and for the students who are participating in the online version of All About Aerodynamics. They need to really be able to see what the cars look like. And got the photo. Perfect. And now let's get some video. If I can get this thing turning the right direction, there we go. Switch over to the video. Lock in the focus. And get this car entered into the spreadsheet. Get this video. And it has that wing in the back, which again will press up right against the launching block and should help give this car a good push. Now, the wing does stick out further than the back of the car, than the rear of the car. What would be more ideal is if the wing didn't stick out further than the body, is if the wing was aligned with the body. And that way the launching block could not only be pushing against the body of the car, but also that wing. Because getting a good solid push out of the starting blocks is very important for these cars. So let me see. This is a 2015 Mazda MX-5 Miata. And I don't think, I gotta check the year. We've got an interesting mix of cars. Interestingly enough, there are no fantasy cars this week, which is a little odd. Okay, 2015 for the Miata. Double check. All right, 2015. Very good. So now we have our full race lineup. Okay, so we have the 82 Nissan Skyline R30. We have the Mazda 787B, the Hot Wheels Funny Car, the Lamborghini Cyan, the Honda Custom Civic. We have, what else? And then the last car, the Mazda MX-5 Miata. So those are the cars that are going to be racing. And when we switch over to the track, this is the view that you are going to get of the track. It is a 3-camera view, and on the far left side you will see that is the start line at the top of the view on the left. The cars will start in the launcher at the top, and they will come fast out of the launcher, and they will move towards the bottom of the screen. After they pass out of the bottom of the screen on the far left, you can pick the cars up at the top of the middle screen, which shows the middle section of our track. The cars will come streaking down that screen, and once they pass out of the bottom of the middle screen, you can pick them up at the top of the screen on the far right, which is our finish line camera. The cars will come down toward the bottom of the screen where they will pass across our finish line. Our finish line has a sensor and an indicator that will let us know which car won. the car with the solid red light is the winner. The car with the solid red light is the winner. The car with the flashing red light is, in fact, the loser. The car that came in second. And that is what we are about to see. Which car is going to come in first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, and sixth place. We've got 6 cars, all vying to be today's All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live champion. And the car that wins among those cars is then going to challenge the current fastest in fleet car, the Monoposto, and see if the new car can take the place of the champ and become the new fastest in fleet. So we've got our 6 cars. We have the rules that will pop up in a minute, and I will remind you of. And other than that, I will see you at the track in just 30 seconds. Okay, so here we are. Everything's all set up. I just want to double check and make sure our sound is good. 1, 2, yep. We are good on the sound. So now it is time to race. Oh, I forgot I had this Lamborghini down here that we did some test races with. Let me move that off the track. And now that that's out of the way, which one is this? This is the Aventador J, which I already have one of those in the fleet. So, all right, first race of the day. Let's see what we can come up with. How about we take a look? I'm kind of curious. I'm most curious about the funny car. So we'll have the funny car race. And let's see. We'll have the funny car take on the Lamborghini. Actually, no. You know what we'll do? We'll go funny car against... No. That's fine. Funny car against the Lamborghini. This funny car is very narrow. Narrow cars just have a hard time on this track, and it's been the case, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. They're just more likely to bounce back and forth around the track and just not and crash. They essentially put into effect Isaac Newton's third law of motion, that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. And the action is that they hit the sidewall of the track, and then the reaction is that they bounce off, and they end up bouncing back and forth, and it creates friction, and it slows the car down, and it's just not a good outcome. But there are always surprises, and it's why we have to race the cars, because you just never know. So we've got the Hot Wheels funny car in lane 2. We've got the Lamborghini Cyan in lane 1. So let's see what happens. It's best 2 out of 3, and this is the first race. So let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. That's why you have to race the races, because you never know. So the Lamborghini crashed. Now, remember I was saying that I was concerned because it was so light that it would be susceptible to crashing. And it didn't disappoint. It definitely crashed. The funny car was, in fact, very fast. And, well, I'm not going to say very fast because it's hard. It's all relative. It's hard to determine exactly how fast the car was when it didn't have another car to race against because the Lamborghini crashed. Now, if you saw the rules, you saw that our rules are, if a car crashes, then we just redo the race. We throw out the results, restart the race, and then if a car crashes twice consecutively, it is eliminated. Well, the Lamborghini, when what we consider crashing, even though it ended up upside down, and that's by, all kind of standard definitions, a crash, it did not come off the track. And because it did not come off the track, that does not count as a crash that is going to trigger a restart of the race. That is just bad luck. If you're going to crash in All About Aerodynamics or At the Track Live, you're better off crashing and falling off the track to at least get that race thrown out and you can try again. But because the Lamborghini did not come off the track, that race counts, and it lost. So the Hot Wheels Funny Car is up 1-0. We switched lanes, so the Hot Wheels Funny Car is in lane 1, the Lamborghini's in lane 2, and if the Hot Wheels Funny Car takes it, then that car is going to be our moving on in today's tournament. So let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Okay, that time the Lamborghini was able to stay on the track, and it not only stayed on the track, but it defeated the Funny Car by a significant margin. So now we have a third race coming up where we're going to see which of these cars is going to move on, and we know now that the Lamborghini has some speed. It at least has enough speed to beat the Funny Car if, and it's a big if it can stay on the track. So let's get these cars, switch the lanes once again. All right, you got the Lambo, which is now going to be back in lane number 1. And then the Funny Car is going to be in lane number 2. Get it just straight. Okay, so this is race number 3. Whichever car takes this race is moving on in the tournament. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Okay, so the Lamborghini crashed, but fortunately, this time when it crashed, it actually came off of the track. So that means the results of that race are getting thrown out, and we will do it again. But the problem for the Lamborghini is that it has crashed twice on that side of the track. Let me just see. So there's nothing, I was just checking because it's crashing right at the beginning. So there's nothing wrong with the track to cause it to crash. It's simply the Lamborghini, and it is, like I said, it's a light car. So the fact that it stayed on the track the other time may have just been a matter of luck, because 2 out of the 3 times it's been on the track, it has crashed. So get it in here again, make sure it's straight straight as possible. All right, let me go get the funny car. Because if the Lamborghini crashes again, if it crashes this third time, then that will be 2 consecutive crashes. And as I said, consecutive crashes means that a car is going to be eliminated. And that's just how it is, because a car that crashes multiple times, there's usually some issue. And it's an issue that it's hard to see just looking at the cars in real time. And I usually have to go back and look at the video, and in some cases shoot slow motion video to be able to determine why a car was crashing. So I've got these cars lined up. Again, we're redoing the third race. Lamborghini Cyan is in lane number 1, and the Hot Wheels funny car is in lane number 2, and we will see which car is going to take this race. Three, two, one, race. All right, we had a good race. The funny car got off to a lead and then started to slow down on the back end. And that's something that we see because the funny car is all metal. And we see that with a lot of the cars from the 90s, the all metal cars, the heavier cars, is that once they get near the tail end of the track, that last third, they start to slow down. That weight, gravity pulling on them, and they just start to slow down. And we saw that the funny car had a lead, lost the lead in that last third section. So the Lamborghini moves on. Funny car is going to be set aside, and we are going to move on to the next race. The next race is going to be, let's see, we're going to go with the Nissan Skyline and the Mazda 787B. So let's see which of these cars can make a move towards possibly becoming the fastest in the fleet car. We'll put the Mazda in lane 1. And this car seems like, I don't know if it's going to be fast, but it's got all of the sort of properties that you want to see in a car. It's wide. It has a wing in the back that is flush with the starting block, and so it should get a pretty good push. The Skyline is just a basic car. There's nothing inherently wrong with it, so this should be an interesting race because the Mazda really shouldn't bounce back and forth all that much. It should be pretty good. Let me check. There's battery issue on the final camera. Let me take a look at that. Hold on just a moment. Okay, it looks like I'll need to switch out that cable because it's not providing power, but on the low power mode we should be able to get through these last few races. So let's get going and see what happens. So we've got the Skyline in lane 2, the Mazda in lane 1. Here we go. Three, two, wow. The Skyline, it was wobbling side to side down the track, but it absolutely destroyed the Mazda. That was impressive. That was very impressive. Okay, so we are going to switch lanes and see if the Mazda can have a better showing for itself. That was, that was something else. Okay. So get the Mazda. This time we'll be set up in lane number 2. And get the Skyline in lane number 1. Okay, the cars are lined up. The Skyline, with an impressive performance, if it duplicates it, it will be moving on in the tournament. So let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. The Mazda saved itself a little bit of saved itself from embarrassment a little bit, because it crashed, it flew off the track, and therefore that race will have to be run all over again. So let's see if the Mazda can stay on the track and be beaten, or if it's going to crash, fly off the track, and lose that way. One way or the other, it seems like the writing is on the wall that the Mazda is going to be toast. But we've seen some strange things on the track in the past, so you never know. Never count a car out until it's out, until it's all the way out. The Mazda here, Skyline there. Okay, cars are lined up. If the Mazda crashes again, it's out. So let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Mazda absolutely destroyed, and I'm wondering now at this point, is the Mazda just a slow car, or is the Skyline a potential fastest in fleet car? Because that was a pretty impressive beating that that it just handed out. So we'll see how it turns out. But for now, the Skyline is moving up with the Lamborghini, and the Mazda is going to set to the side. And let's see, we are going to go now with the Honda Civic against the other Mazda, the MX-5 Miata. So let's see how that plays out, and then I think I'm going to change that cable on the finish line camera after these races, and we'll move on. But let's see what happens. Okay, we have got, these are two smaller cars, but the Honda is significantly smaller, and it's got the smaller tires. That's going to be set up in lane number 2, and the Miata will be in lane number 1. So the cars lined up pretty easily, so let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Both cars pretty quick, but the Miata was clearly faster. So we've got the Miata lane number 1 taking that race. We're going to switch sides and see what happens when we put the Miata in lane number 2. Now, the Honda Civic, it did better than I expected. Again, I thought that because of the small wheels and the size and etc., it would not do well. I thought it would crash. Um, but it was pretty quick. It just wasn't fast enough to beat the Miata, and that's what it needs to be if it's going to stick around and continue to race. This is best 2 out of 3, and the reason it's best 2 out of 3 is because we want to make it sure that both cars get a chance to race in each lane, and that there's no physical advantage. I make every effort to make sure that the track is straight and that all cars get a fair shot. So here we go. This is race number 2. The Honda Civic is in lane 1, and the Mazda Miata is in lane number 2. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. And I spoke it into existence. I mentioned I was surprised that the Honda didn't crash. And what's the first thing it decides to do? Crash. So that race gets thrown out. It will get another shot. One final shot. Let me go get the Miata, which still seems like it's going to beat regardless of whether or not the Honda stays on the track. This Miata seems faster by a significant margin, but you never know. So, get it lined up again, see if the Honda can stay on the track. The Honda has to win to stay in, period. If it crashes or if it loses, it's done. So, let's see what happens. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. And the Honda gets destroyed. And as a result of getting destroyed, the Honda Civic will not be moving on. But while I'm down here, I'm just going to check on this camera because the battery was low, which meant it wasn't getting a charge for some reason. So I'll probably just switch out the cable. It says 100%. All right, well, go with that, and I guess it's okay. So keep that there. All right, let's gather up these cars. So we've got the Miata, and we've got the Civic. So the Civic is out, the Miata's moving on. So now we have the Miata, the Lamborghini, and the Skyline. And they all have seemed to be fast cars. But we'll see once they start going up against each other, and eventually the Monoposto, how fast they actually are. So we'll go Lamborghini versus Skyline first. And let's see. We'll put the Skyline in lane 1. Put the Lamborghini in lane 2. Presuming it. And this Lamborghini, the back of the car has a point instead of it being flat. So there's not as much surface area for the track to, or for the launching block to press against. So that could work against it because it's not getting a really solid launch. And the way you can tell a car didn't get a solid launch is if it's wobbling back and forth down the track. So look for that as a sign. But we've got the Skyline in lane 1, Lamborghini in lane 2, and let's see how these cars perform and what happens. Three, two, one, race. Woo. Okay, the Lamborghini, again, when it can stay on the track, it's pretty fast. It's just a matter of, can it stay on the track? And so the Skyline seemed pretty fast in its race, but the Lamborghini beat it by a significant margin. Therefore, it really does depend on which car another car is racing against. You can't really tell just from one race which car is faster. You really do need to have multiple races against multiple types of cars to really get a sense for which car is fastest. And ultimately, because we have a gatekeeper car, we will find out. Now, here's the lane that the Lamborghini has continually had problems in. Lane number 1. Lane number 1 is where it has crashed multiple times. And if that trend continues, even though it's it's potentially the faster car, if it crashes multiple times consecutively, then it will be eliminated. So it's going to be important that the Lamborghini at least stays on the track this time. So here we go. Lamborghini lane 1, Skyline lane 2. Three, two, one, race. Okay, so the Lamborghini crashed. It's not something wrong with the track. It's something that's happening with the Lamborghini coming out of the starting block. And it is, for some reason, it is coming out. See, because when I just roll the car, nothing happens. But when these cars come out, they're coming out with so much force that they sometimes leave the track. And then eventually they get back on the track. But this Lamborghini is not cooperating with that part of the theory. So let's see if we can get the Lamborghini to stay on the track, because something's happening, because it's only happening in lane number 1 for the Lamborghini, whereas none of the other cars are having that problem. So I think it's a combination of the Lamborghini is a very light car and there's a lot of force, and I just think it's probably going up into the air, and for some reason it's clipping that first barrier. So got the cars lined up again. The Lamborghini is in lane 1 because we're just restarting that particular race. And the Skyline is in lane number 2. So here we go. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. So, the Lamborghini, this is a tough one. The Lamborghini stayed on the track. It eventually crashed, but it flipped up and then it landed on the track. So that means that is going to be counted as a win for the Mazda because the Lamborghini did not come off the track. So the Lamborghini, though, still has an opportunity to beat the Skyline because now that we have to go to a third race, the track switch sides, the Lamborghini hasn't had as much, the same number of problems in lane 2 as it's had in lane 1. So if the Lamborghini can take this race out of the lane 2 position, then it's all good and it will move on. And the Skyline hasn't had any issues other than just not being as fast as the Lamborghini. So we got the Skyline in lane 1, Lamborghini lane 2, and we will see what happens. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. And the Lamborghini crashed again, which is still telling me that now it's becoming clear that when the Lamborghini is able to stay on the track, that is probably just a function of luck. Because what we're seeing is that it's crashing regardless of which lane it's put in. And the lighter cars, that tends to happen. And when we get back to the garage, I am going to weigh the Lamborghini just to see how much it weighs because it is not it's not having an easy time. When it stayed on the track, it's been fast. But the problem is it's crashed multiple times. I think that would be the 1, 2, maybe like the 4th time it's crashed today. So it's going to get lined up again. We're going to see if there's any hope for this car. There may not be. But we've got to race it. So, once again, Skyline's in lane 1, Lamborghini's in lane 2. If the Lamborghini crashes again, it is disqualified, it's out. And we'll have a matchup between the Miata and the Skyline. But if the Lamborghini can somehow stay on the track and pull this out, it will move on. So whichever car wins this, it is going to move on. But the Lamborghini really has one choice: win the race. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. And the Lamborghini did just that. It stayed on the track and won the race. It repeated its performance at the very beginning. So, once again, when the Lamborghini can stay on the track, it has proven to be really fast. But staying on the track has been a problem. It's almost like a coin flip. Will it stay on the track? Will it not stay on the track? Who knows at this point? But we are going to be seeing a matchup now between the Lamborghini and the Mazda. So we'll start the Lamborghini off. Just keep it in lane 2 where it was. Okay. And get the Mazda set up in lane number 1. Let's see, the Mazda doesn't want to cooperate. Pretty good. Okay. So now we've got the Mazda in lane 1, got the Lamborghini in lane number 2. And the big question, of course, is always, can the Lamborghini stay on the track? All right, let's see what happens. Race 1. Three, two, one, race. Great race, close race, but the Mazda pulls it out in the end. So, to this point, anytime the Lamborghini has been able to stay on the track, it's won until now. So now, we're going to have a situation where the Lamborghini lost on the side of the track in the lane that it's been particularly dominant in, lane number 2. Switching over to lane number 1, this is where the Lamborghini has had its problems. It has not been able to stay on the track coming out of lane 1 for some reason. Other cars have, we just saw one, but the Lamborghini has had a lot of issues staying on the track out of the lane 1 position. We'll see if that continues. If it does, then could spell problems. But let's see what happens. Race 2, Lamborghini lane 1, Mazda Miata lane 2. Three, two, one, race. Right on cue, the Lamborghini crashes. So we will throw out the results of that race. But if the Lamborghini crashes again consecutively, then it will lose, and the Miata will be the today's champion. Now, see, the thing that's interesting is that in the last race, the Lamborghini crashed. It crashed once and flew off the track. We restarted the race, and if it had crashed and fallen off the track again, it would have been disqualified. That would have been it. But the Lamborghini, while it crashed, it stayed on the track. So it just ended up losing that race, which was fine, because then it was able to switch back over to lane number 2, where it ended up taking the victory. This time, the Lamborghini crashed, flew off the track. That's no good, because it restarts the race, and it sets up a scenario where if the Lamborghini crashes this time, it's eliminated. Now, if it crashes and remains on the track, it's still eliminated because it's down 1-0. The Lamborghini needs to win this race. That's the only thing that's going to save it. The Miata is poised to move ahead. So we've got it one more time. Can the Lamborghini stay on the track? I don't know. Odds are the answer is no. But this is why we have to race. So let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. So the Lamborghini stayed on the track, and it stayed on the track and got beaten. Beaten by today's champion, the Mazda Miata, the MX-5. And now the MX-5 will take on the Monoposto to see if it can become the fastest car in the fleet. The Monoposto has held on to that position for about 2 weeks, ever since it took out the Thunder Streak, or the Lolux, one of the two. No, the Lolux was the original fastest in fleet. Then that was taken out by the Thunder Streak, and then that was taken out by the Monoposto. So let's get the Monoposto lined up in lane number 1. The Mazda will be lined up in lane number 2. Assuming I can get it to stay put. Okay. So here we go. This is for the fastest in the fleet championship. So let's see. Race number 1, we have the Monoposto, which is our current fastest in fleet, in lane number 1, and we have the Mazda Miata, which is today's champion, in lane 2. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. And the Mazda took it. Both cars were moving down the track at a fast pace, but the Mazda took the first race from the fastest in fleet car, the Monoposto, and now the cars are going to switch lanes, and we are going to see if the Mazda can just make it a clean sweep and defeat the Monoposto and become the new fastest in fleet car. So now the Mazda is in lane number 1. Monoposto is in lane number 2. Okay, if the Mazda wins, Mazda's the new fastest in fleet. Monoposto needs to make a move right here. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. It was close. It was very, very close, but we have a brand new fastest in fleet car. It is the Mazda RX MX-5 Miata. So I'm going to get these cars scooped up. We're going to head back to the garage and take a look at our winner. Check out this Lamborghini, see what's going on there, and I'll see you back in the garage in just a moment. Okay, so we have a new fastest in fleet car. It is the Mazda, the 2015 Mazda MX-5 Miata. It defeated and dethroned the Monoposto, which was previously our fastest in fleet car, our fastest in fleet champion. And what can you say? The Mazda, it's a smaller car. It has that wing in the back, which presses up right against the launching block, gives it a good solid push out of the starting block. It didn't have too much wobble and shake as it moved down the track, and the races were close, but it beat the Monoposto twice in a row, and it is now our fastest in fleet car. And let's see, the big mystery of today, the other big story is the Lamborghini, and it's crash after crash after crash after crash. And so I want to weigh it and see how much it weighs. It seems light to me, but maybe I'm wrong. Oh, hang on. Let me put this here. Just take. All right, so the Lamborghini weighs in at 27.1 grams, which is not altogether. I mean, it's not the lightest car. Let me see. That Honda Civic. Oh, no, the Honda Civic weighs 33 and a half grams. So that's, even though it was smaller, it was definitely heavier. Let's see the funny car. The funny car weighs 49.3 grams, which probably helps explain why it does well in the gravity track races. While we're at it, might as well. The Skyline is 31 grams. The Mazda 787B is 38 grams. So you're talking about a significant difference in weight. And so this Lamborghini has a plastic base. And let's see how much the Champ weighs. The Champ weighs 30 grams. And the previous former champion, the Monoposto, is 33 and a half grams. So when you have this Lamborghini that's coming in at, the weight is coming in at 26.8. So nearly 3-4 grams minimum lighter. In some cases, 8 grams lighter. Yeah, checked again, 26.8. I think I might take some slow motion video to see exactly what is happening with the Lamborghini when it comes out of the launcher, because it's definitely crashing into. Take a look at it. It's hitting the barriers, and in some cases it's getting further down the track, but then it's crashing because it's so out of control. Because once the cars start banging back and forth with all that force, eventually they're going to leave the track. And that is precisely what happened with the Lamborghini, and it was unable to stay on. I'll check into that a little bit more, but we are going to celebrate and recognize the new fastest in fleet car, the Mazda MX-5 Miata. That is today's champion and the new fastest in fleet car. There it is. So next week we'll have a new set of cars to enter into the fleet, and the winner of the tournament among those cars will get to challenge the Mazda for fastest in fleet status. I am working on some promotional things for At the Track Live. Also have another broadcast scheduled or in the planning stages called At the Track Live After Dark that involves races with different cars that aren't necessarily going to be entered into the fleet, but just some interesting races, and sometimes cars that are already in the fleet, some just interesting matchups. It will still always have the component where you can select a car that you want to see race. Again, all you have to do is go to atthetrack.live, select choose a car, and then you will be able to pick the car that you want to see race, and I'll take it out just like I did all the others. And just a reminder that you can find out, if you go to atthetrack.live, there is a calendar at the bottom that shows when the next broadcast will be. But you can also follow us at AA Aerodynamics on Instagram, and I always post in the stories a timer and a countdown clock for when the next broadcast is, and you can click to have a reminder. If you've missed any past episodes, you can go to our YouTube page, which you can find all the links at thetrack.live or on the Instagram page. And go to the live section, and you'll see all of the episodes listed. There are time codes, so you can just jump to the section if you don't want to see the reviews, you just want to see the races. Fine, you can go and do that. And there's some other content there, like where we showed the difference between our launcher track and a gravity track. We compare them directly, and a few other things. Now, if you do want to find out more information about all about aerodynamics and find out how to bring our program to your school, to your special event, then all you need to do is go to our website, which you can find the link at thetrack.live, but aaerodynamics.com, and you can find all the contact information that you need and some additional information about the science and educational components of the program. So everything you need is there and available. If you have any questions, there are ways at all these places. There's ways to contact me, and I can give you the information you need and find out how we can bring all about aerodynamics to your school, to your special event, and to your students. So for At the Track Live, we've got a new Fastest in Fleet champion. We've got more cars that need to be entered into the fleet. More races to come. And until next time, see you at the races.